What can we expect from off the roster?
Well, you're going to expect a little bit of everything. We're going to have a lot of fun on the show. That's definitely going to be a part of it. You, the listener, or the listeners are going to be a huge part of it as well. We're going to incorporate a lot of different things. There's going to be some major interviews that we get along the way, some exclusives that we get along the way that are going to be a big part of what we do beyond just the regular sports talk. And we're going to bring you the best on the Leafs, the Raptors, and the Jays, and whatever else is going on in the Toronto sports scene and the big tentpole events. I'm going to be big in on the World Cup, doing a lot of the soccer stuff that I used to do, and I covered TFC and the Canadian men's national team here when I was first in Toronto. So we'll get back to doing that, especially with the World Cup coming up. And, Olympics, we're going to be big on that. And a Super Bowl. We're going to get in on a lot of the major tentpole events across the sports calendar and bringing you a little bit of everything with some pretty high-end exclusive interviews too.
So going from Vancouver now back to Toronto, we're going Leafs. The Leafs brought in a guy from the Canucks in Dakota Joshua. He's been so far in his first 20 games, whatever it's been. What did you see from him in Van, and are you surprised that he hasn't been a bigger impact player for the Leafs so far?
It felt like a really good fit for Joshua coming out of Vancouver in the summer when they made the trade. I thought just kind of made sense for both teams. Vancouver needed the cap space, and the Leafs could use a little bit more size in their lineup with Joshua, but this has also been a part of Joshua's story the last couple of years. He obviously had, he had the cancer diagnosis, and he's come through that, but he hasn't really found his game since, for whatever reason it might be. But you go back before that, and Rick Tocchet's first training camp in Vancouver, and Joshua had to be poked and prodded to get more out of him. And he even got a healthy scratch earlier in that season, that first full season with Rick Tocchet. That also happened to be the year that he went on to score 18 goals and get rewarded with the contract that he's currently on. So Berube might be trying to push something out of that book that Rick Tocchet had a couple of years ago. But when Joshua gets going, he can be a lot to handle with that size. He's got a little bit of speed, can PK as well, can be good at the net front. So there's a lot of good elements to his game. It's just when it disappears, it can be a tough watch for Dakota Joshua, and he hasn't found it yet in Toronto.
I think they were expecting a bit of bounce back after you know what transpired last year with the cancer, and then just the injury to the hip, and it just hasn't gotten according to plan. A couple years ago, he had 22 goals in total between the playoffs and the regular season. He was a beast in the postseason. If he gets anywhere close to that, I think he can be a big time asset to this team. But he's been nowhere close, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's been a tough go. And is it finding a fit in the lineup? Is it just getting a goal or two here to get the monkey off your back and start feeling better about your game? It might be a lot of things, but the healthy scratch, clearly Berube wanted that to be something to really try and get him going after he's tried so many other different avenues, and hopefully he could bounce back after that.
Hey, Reach, my entire brand is trades. I love trades in the NHL, and I love Trader Jim out in Vancouver. They're open for business. This is a yearly occurrence, and for some reason, Kiefer Sherwood's on the block. I know he's a UFA. He's having an outstanding season. They want to maybe sell high, but do you see any fit between what Vancouver has and maybe the Maple Leafs? We know Tree Living's looking around as well.
Well, I think, guys, we know what the perfect fit would be. It would be Quinn Hughes, right? It would fit 98% of the problems that the Leafs have, right? I mean, come on. That's the obvious one. Talk about fixing the power play. Just add Quinn Hughes in there and you'll be great. Obviously that one's unlikely because the Canucks aren't going down that road just yet. And also, I don't really think the Leafs would even have the assets to be able to get it done. But as far as what could be available, Kiefer Sherwood would be a nice fit for the Leafs, does have some of the jam that they want more out of their roster, hits everything that moves, he can score. But other than that, I'm not sure there is that piece that the Canucks do have. You'd have to look higher up the lineup and maybe try to find a deal. Could Jake DeBrusk be something you could pull out of Vancouver? He's kind of had his ups and downs. On paper, he had a really good season last year, I think with 28 goals, a career high. But, even talking to him after the season, he was like, man, I didn't really feel all that great about my game. And pucks went in off my ass, and it was just kind of one of those years. I got a lot of luck. That's kind of what the Leafs really need. They need somebody that can add in their top six. I don't feel like some of the guys the Canucks are currently willing to part with, as well as Kiefer Sherwood has played. I still think his best spot in the lineup is somewhere on the third or fourth line and playing PK and doing second unit power play time. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, there's two issues. I'm not sure how willing the Canucks are yet to part with some of the bigger pieces on their roster. And if you're the Leafs, you'd have to be taking on quite a bit of money there. But two, what kind of assets do the Leafs really have to give up after they went so hard for it last year and during last trade deadline?
Does it make more sense? We were talking about this earlier. Does it make more sense for the Leafs to add little, cookie cutter type pieces and window dress the rest of the season? Or is it better for them to look after guys that have term on their on their contract moving forward? Because next season they've got just about $20 million in cap space to play with. So you have an opportunity to make something happen in the summer. But now, does a guy on an expiring deal make sense for them to pay for that price, or should they be looking at guys that have a couple more years on their deals?
I think right now, if you're Brad Treliving, you're not looking at any kind of rental types, right? Like with the way the season's going, I know they're 500 now after the win in Columbus, but they still got so much more climbing to do, guys. Like, what's the playoff bar for the wild card right now? It's like 97 points. Last I checked, 96 points, something like that. And the Leafs are on pace for 80 or 82, I guess, at 500. So, they've still got a ways to go before they get themselves into a conversation where it makes sense to buy on a rental. So when is the trade market going to open up that you can make a kind of hockey deal to get something in here that maybe doesn't help you get to the playoffs this year, but can be something that helps you next year or the year beyond that? That's probably the avenue that Brad Treliving is going to have to go. And if things don't turn around quickly for the Leafs, I mean, you have to just give up on the idea of passing on more futures to put a Band-Aid on this thing and try to make a run for it this year. It's just, they've spent too much over the last number of years, and it's feeling like hey, maybe this is a slow it down year. Unfortunately, they've already had their first round pick plucked by the Boston Bruins. Kind of feels like a little, it's not quite Phil Kessel level, but it's kind of got a little bit of that Phil Kessel vibe when they gave up the eventual picks to Dougie Hamilton and Tyler Seguin.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.